Hey.
Hey, I just had a question. What are you doing?
I'm interviewing people.
Oh.
My first name's Anthony.
Miguel.
Miguel?
Yes,
oh,
sir.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm just interviewing strangers about how they arrived at their God belief. And just,
oh, cool.
Do you want to do a quick interview?
Yeah, for
All right,
sure.
Awesome. I'll time it for 5.
Okay.
Miguel.
Well,
what God do you believe in, dude?
I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
Why?
Because I know He died on the cross, and I know He's the Almighty God.
Okay. How confident are you that the belief is true? If 100% was, I'm 100% confident that Jesus died on the cross for me, and 0% is I'm not confident at all that Jesus died for me, where would you be on the scale?
On the 100%.
Wow.
Yeah. Although sometimes I may feel like I struggle with my faith sometimes, like, how sometimes you go through things and we feel like God's not here, and in reality, we stray away from Him. He never leaves us. And
okay.
So I always know, like,
you just know it.
Yeah.
How do you know it, dude? How can you be 100% confident on a belief?
I don't know, I guess faith. And just the foundation I was raised upon.
What is your definition of faith? If I were to write it down on this clipboard right now, what would you?
Faith is
how would you
the
describe
hope
it?
In things unseen.
The hope in things unseen.
Thanks, man. See you later. All right.
And that's faith.
I would say so. Would you give a different term?
I've heard similar definitions of it. How big of your belief that 100% is faith, and what other percent is you being raised in it? Because I think you mentioned that you were exposed to it.
In situations like God has just showed up in my life, and in my family's life. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Like, I grew up without my dad. Sort of grew up without my dad because he kind of cheated on my mom, had a baby.
Sorry to hear that.
I just went through a lot of stuff when I was younger.
Yeah.
Then I came to I guess you could say a real truth to who Jesus was. I got saved when I was 5. When I got saved.
At 5 years old?
Yeah, my grandma talked to me, like she introduced me to Jesus, and at that time, when I was 5 years old, I knew I was gonna go to heaven. You know what I mean? I would just.
Can we get back to the faith part of it?
Yeah.
I know that you're using faith to be so confident that Jesus works in your life and died for you, and you believe it so strongly. And you define it as the hope in things unseen. Do you have hope? Do you use faith for other things? And do you hope for things that are unseen in your life?
Yes.
Besides Jesus?
Yeah, I think
you do?
People put their faith in all types of stuff.
Like
but
what?
I guess for example, I have a test on Wednesday, and I hope I pass on Wednesday.
You hope you pass.
You know what I mean?
Are you equating faith with hope? Faith, hope. Is faith the same as hope?
I wouldn't say faith is the same as hope, but faith, you kind of put your hope in faith. I don't know.
With regards to this example for this test, you hope that you pass it.
But I know in order for me to pass it, I have to study.
Sure.
To understand the material.
Okay.
Before I take the test.
Yeah.
When
you hope that you pass the test, is there not an element of a possibility that you might fail the test?
Yes.
Is hope the same way? Does faith have an element of it possibly not happening or not being true?
I guess that's just something that you just don't know until you die. If we talk about Jesus, you know what I mean? Because I guess somebody could have a possibility maybe God isn't real, but then and then if I'm wrong, then I guess I'd have to face that when I die. But then if I'm right, then somebody else has to face that when they die. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Miguel, if faith is equivalent to hope with your definition of it, and there's an element of it not happening or not coming true, because hope has that possibility of it not you hope you want to pass the test, and maybe you won't pass the test, right? If faith is hope and it has that element of it not being true, can somebody really be at the 100% mark on the confidence of a belief being true?
I would say so. Cause it's you put your all into that. I put my all into Jesus.
You're invested into it?
Yeah. And it's a daily. You know what I mean? I feel like the Bible says work out daily. You know what I mean? And I feel sometimes some days we don't really. I don't know if you're a believer or
I'll answer it later.
I don't know how you believe or I don't anything like that, but I mean, like, you know, like, I just feel like daily, you know, I mean, like, you work out your faith on a daily basis, you know, because God's grace is renewed every day in our lives.
Are you saying that because you've invested so much into the belief that it's difficult to consider that the belief might not be true?
I guess. That was fast.
It was a fast 5, wasn't it? Do you want to go another couple minutes?
Sure.
Okay. I find it really fascinating that this investment in the belief and your acknowledgement that because I've invested so much time and effort into the belief that I'm reluctant to even examine if the belief might not be true. Is that what you're saying? I don't want to put words in your mouth, so correct me.
That is what I'm saying.
It is?
Yeah, like, you know, like to me, like, in a way, I think, how can God not be real? You know what I mean? Like, out of everything that's in the world and everything that you see, like the sky and like just like everything, like, how could it be something other than God? You know?
Just not knowing something makes you think it's all the more possible that this specific God exists in the life?
I would say so.
You know, I've had conversations with people of other religions on this campus and elsewhere.
For sure.
I've talked to a Muslim woman who said that she's 100% convinced that Allah is the one true God. And I think we probably agree she has the right to believe in that God. She uses faith and she hopes that Allah is real. She hopes it. And she's invested a lot of time in the belief. Right? Like, she was raised in it. She puts a lot of time in it. She goes to the mosque and does all these prayers. She's invested a lot of time in it. She hopes that it's real. She really wants it to be real because she's invested so much time in it. Mm-hmm. In what way does that make her belief any more true than yours?
I don't know too much about the Muslim religion, so I don't know how.
You don't even have to know about it. Like, I don't know much about it either, but she's convinced about it.
Yeah.
You know, she's certain. She's 100% convinced that the belief is true and that Muhammad went to heaven on a winged horse. Like, she really believes it. Mm-hmm. She uses faith. She hopes that it's true. She's invested a tremendous amount of time in the belief. How could she be so confident in the belief that's a completely different belief than you?
I don't know. I see what you're saying. Maybe just her upbringing?
Do you think her upbringing has any bearing on the truth of the belief?
No, because I know that Allah is not real. I know that there's only one true God.
So her being raised in the culture has no bearing on the belief being true, her belief in Allah.
Yeah.
Yet you're standing here today possibly largely because you were raised in it and exposed to this specific God?
But I think if I wasn't raised, like, just like stuff that I've been through in my life, you know what I mean? Like.
You think if you were raised to be a Hindu, you might be a Christian today?
Yeah.
You do?
I do. Just because of, like, you know, like, I've seen God, you know, like, just like in ways that I wouldn't even think, you know, like, I just know, like, this had to be Jesus. You know what I mean?
You're seeing things that are happening in your life and you're attributing them to the Christian God.
Yeah.
But this woman would see things in her life and attribute them to a completely different God. How could we go about figuring out who would be more correct in the belief? Is there any way that we can tell that you might be more correct than her? Or vice versa?
Yeah. I don't know how to answer that.
If you have no way of knowing if you are more correct in the belief than that Muslim woman, how could you possibly be at the 100% mark on the confidence of your belief?
I don't know.
Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it, Miguel.